Good morning, and I hope you're having a great day. Today, we're going to talk about how to start with an idea and create. Several ways to do it, and we're going to highlight two today. One is with a pattern. If you have a pattern of some kind, or if you're a sketcher or drawer, and you can do that for yourself, then use a pattern or sketch one and then go for it. Now this one I did, if you've been following the series, I did with a pattern. I first traced it, then I watercolored it, then I stitched it. So those three steps can create a beautiful item for you. And it's very easy when you start with a pattern, especially for beginners, and you kind of skip the creative idea process right and go right into the actual work. So I love that. And this one is finished. Let me bring you up and show you some of the detail of the stitching. On the left side here, in the last video, I finished around to this flower, stitched that for you. And now I put this piece down, and then this flower in, brought the embroidery down, put in this frayed piece of fabrics that kind of look like cactus to me, and put a little bit something different in there, and a little work here in fabric and stitching. And then it was done, and I outlined it. My colors I changed around the outline, you know, just intuitively, whatever you feel like it needs at the time. And so this pattern is completely finished now. So I love that piece there. But we're into the 80 different styles, and so there's a couple here I want to show you. Okay, this one is done in the grays. A lot of times we'll pass up the grays because we don't get inspired with them, but actually grays are a beautiful color to work with. I love blacks, but you can't just always splash a black on something. But grays pretty much go with anything. And so that's really nice to know that. Now, I just put two different background fabrics down the background. Used my gray fabric to cut my flowers and leaves. Okay. Did the stitching, put a little yarn here in the flowers. And you can see I just stitched around to keep the whole thing together. So you can see how pretty that is. And it's, again, in the 80 different styles. I'm using the same pattern, and I'll be doing it 80 ways to show you how it's your ideas, and it's the patterns, and it's the colors, and it's the textures you put together that create. It's not always just the pattern or the subject matter, but if you follow this series, you can see how different each one is from another. And that's where your creating process comes in. Putting things together in a creative way that maybe you wouldn't have thought of, but experiment with it and see what you can do. So this one with grays, and then I made another one with grays, but it turned out a totally different style. Okay. Isn't that awesome? Same pattern, same basic background colors in the grays, but this one I use the contrasting colors a lot in the building the flower. And this was kind of, I call it kind of a hide and seek pattern, because you got to kind of look for this. It's hiding amongst this busy background, and the stitching and the colorizations are blending. So you kind of look hard to see the elements. I love the flower because it's simply some fabric, but I took some yarn that had little decorative things down the strip of yarn and cut them off in sections and put them around the flower. Isn't that pretty? Now I used a lot of stitching on these other elements to bring them out, okay, because by the colors, they are playing with the background fabric so well that they can actually hide. So the things that are bringing them out is the stitching. So these are the next two in the 50 series. And I think they really show, again, what happens when we just choose different things to put together and do it in a different way. Each of these 50 that I've done so far are all entirely different and have different styles, okay? These are kind of, like I said, this is kind of like a hide and seek, and this is playing with the grays that we tend to forget. So if you want to try a style like that, play with the color that you tend to forget, that you don't think really works well. Then also try hiding and seeking, putting things together that blend so well that you need to stitch and bring it out in some other way. All right, and be creative in that way. So I hope this has inspired you some. And again, all this is stitched with is I have a split back stitch, a straight stitch, a French knot, and that's all that's in both of these. So these are very simple stitches. Any beginner can do this, okay? All right, till next time, let's all stay scrappy and creative.